right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Hi guys, welcome to another episode of Motivational Monday where each one teach one, and
You're good to go.
yeah, you have myself and Philia here. We didn't name that because it's okay. All right, so guys, we just want to say Heavenly Father, thank you Lord for blessing each and every one on this life today. Guide us and protect our family, dear Lord. We pray for the sick, the hungry, the homeless, those that are in mental institution, the prisons and the hospital. In no other name but in Jesus' name. Amen. Okay. So the word of this week.
Okay, our word of the day is zenith. Zenith refers to the strongest and most successful period of time for a person or thing. So we all want to reach our zenith when it comes to our journey in life. Zenith.
Zenith.
Yes.
Great.
All right.
Okay, guys, we want to say happy belated birthday to Marina, who celebrated her birthday last week.
Mm-hmm.
Marina is an avid watcher of Motivational Monday. So big up, Buxton.
Mm-hmm.
Happy belated birthday to Tiffany Williams and anyone who's celebrating a birthday today. Happy birthday. All right. Okay, guys, so I'm just going to give you a short health tip for today. And before I give you the health tip, I just want to acknowledge that this month we are celebrating National Suicide Prevention Awareness, Blood Cancer Awareness Month, National Food Bank Day, International Literacy Day, World Suicide Prevention Day, Hispanic Heritage Month, International Day of Peace, International Day of Sign Language, National Public Land Day. So we are celebrating all of these events for this month of September, and we are going to talk today about grief and suicide prevention month. So our basic what we're going to talk about today is grief. But I just want to give you a health tip for today, which is this COVID-19 that has been going around and having everybody crazy. So it's ERIS, ERIS is the new COVID-19 subvariant sweeping the US. It's called the EG5 ERIS variant, is now the dominant COVID-19 strain in the US. Here's what you need to know about transmission and symptoms. So what they're saying here, the symptoms, there isn't enough clinical data about the most common symptoms of the EG5 yet. They say there's no changes in the EG5 symptoms right now. The symptoms of the EG5 look similar to the standard Omicron symptoms. That includes cough, sore throat, runny nose, sneezing, fatigue, headache, muscle ache, altered sense of smell. It may progress to some or more significant feeling of difficulty in breathing as the infection spread into the lungs. Certain groups are higher risk of developing severe illness or complication, including people over 65 and those who are uncompromised or have underlying medical condition. And what you can do to try to solve the problem is washing your hands with soap and water frequently, staying home when sick, avoiding contact with sick people, improving ventilation, wearing a mask in crowded indoor spaces, covering coughs and sneezes. All right?
I think it's on a lag, so you might have to welcome people back.
Okay, so welcome again, guys, to Motivational Monday with Phyllis and Philia. All right? So we are going to have Andy Asula on You can read out what we are going to speak about
Okay.
before we bring him on.
Yes, of course.
Okay, all right.
So Andy Sola is a group facilitator and certified grief, loss, and healing expert at Recovery First Treatment Center in Hollywood, Florida. So, grief is a natural human emotion that all of us have or will experience at some point in our lives. While it's perfectly normal to suffer grief in the wake of a loss, for some people it can turn into something much more dangerous, which is a substance use disorder. That's what they call SUD. So, recognizing what's normal grieving and what's not, the risk factors for addiction, and implementing effective coping strategies can help prevent grief from escalating into SUD or help someone in recovery avoid elapse in the event of a loss. So everyone experiences grief differently, but it typically follows a pattern of 5 stages. So in the immediate aftermath of a loss, it's completely normal to isolate, feel sad, angry, then guilty, then lonely, and then helpless. So, again, it's normal to isolate, feel sad, feel angry, feel guilty, feel lonely, and then feel helpless. So, these feelings might come in waves, and it's not unusual to revert from one stage back to another. Now, while there's no set timeline to cope, because people always feel like, it's been a year, 2 years, been 10 years, 100 years. There's no necessarily timeline, but it becomes a problem when there is an immense lack of self-care, increased isolation, and feeling depressed on a constant and consistent basis. So when you can't get out of your head and feel the urge to numb the pain with substance, it's time to get help. Now, while we all cope with grief in our own way, some patterns raise concern about the risk of developing or exasperating SUD. Those who experience complicated grief, where the loss is sudden, unexpected, and traumatic, are at greater risk than those who suffer anticipatory grief circumstances when we know that death or loss is imminent. Now, with complicated grief, in the case of a suicide, natural disaster, or miscarriage, for example, there's no way to prepare, and trauma compounds grief. Now, we know that men, particularly military veterans and those of certain ethnicities and cultures, are more likely to develop an SUD because of grief than women. Too often, men are socialized to tough it out and not to cry, to hide their emotions, and men are not supposed to cry. So instead, they internalize all their feelings. But we know that men are human and it's okay to cry. Now, where people might not think twice about a woman seeking counseling is not as socially acceptable for men to ask for help. So they often turn to substance or self-medication. Now, in experiences, participating in a grief support group is essential for anyone dealing with loss. Sharing your feelings and hearing other stories help you to realize that you're not alone, that nothing is wrong with you, and that you can learn to accept the loss. Group therapy is extremely powerful, but individual counseling is also a great option. So, if you're living in SUD recovery already, it's essential to anticipate triggers and do your best to mitigate them. That means to resolve them. For example, going to a specific place that was meaningful to you and the person that you've lost. Looking at photos or going through belongings can easily trigger a relapse. So you have to be prepared and have someone that you trust by your side. And last but not least, self-care is also extremely important. Take a shower, get some sleep, eat a balanced diet, and regular meals. Move your body, get up, be active. Exercise, release endorphins, and naturally elevates your mood. So whether it's yoga, running, or weightlifting, whatever you prefer, get up, get moving, even when you don't feel like it. Spend time outdoors, practice mindfulness. This is a way to help you stay grounded in reality and avoid agonizing over things that you cannot change. Most importantly, please ask for help and don't hide your feelings. Isolation and repression will only amplify your pain to the point where you might think only a drug or even a drink will bring some relief. But trust me, it's only temporary and can push you over a very slippery slope. So this is extremely tough, but we will welcome Andy Ansola, who is a group facilitator and certified grief loss and healing expert. So we would love to welcome Andy, everyone.
Hi, welcome to
Welcome,
Motivational
Andy.
Monday.
Good night. Are you hearing me?
Yes, we're hearing you loud and clear. And I just
Okay.
want to say congratulations on this article in the Sentinel. And we could dive in now to the topic that we just read the whole article here for the viewers. So it's your floor.
No. It's your floor. I'm just here to answer questions. One of the things I want to say actually is grief. There's a lot of grief going on in the country right now, all over the world. But and people are self-medicating with drugs to deal with it. Because I guess they don't have enough information or education on where the help is. So I'm hoping that this interview, well, somebody would hear and pass on to somebody who may need that type of treatment, because without treatment, they're going to continue using substances until they die. Actually, my PhD is in the link between grief and loss and addiction. Okay. So we have observed a link. Myself and I work closely with Dr. Perez, who works he's a clinical director at Recovery First, which is a substance abuse treatment center. So I also want to say thanks to Recovery First, which falls under American Addiction Center, that has allowed me to do my studies to get my PhD in this department. A big shout out to CEO, Denise O'Connell. She has actually pushed me in the right direction, that nudge to go ahead and finish up. And I'm so thankful to have this gift that I was given since 2003. Right. Actually, as I was in the finishing stages of that in 2001, my mom died.
Right.
Whoa! So all the stuff I knew goes out the window, as you guys know. No matter how good you are, it goes out the window. So it was a great experience and a learning experience. And working with clients for the last 23 years in this area has opened my eyes, has made me a better thanatologist. That's the word you saw there. And it's a unique word because people are like, what is that? They know about psychiatrist. Thanatologist is one who deals with death studies, and that's what I am. So that's my little niche that God has given me, where I can empathize, reach out to people. You name it, I've heard it all.
So when you say substance use disorder, you want to just go into a little more of that, or you want us just
substance abuse disorder, so there's substance use and there's substance use disorder. Right. So there are some people who occasionally would smoke a joint on a weekend, take a beer on a weekend. Right. That's substance use. It's when we become dependent on it.
Right.
That's when we have a problem.
Right.
Now in the United States, especially in the United States, they have this medical marijuana. Now nothing is wrong with it. Let me explain. People who have glaucoma, who's struggling with menstrual.
Right.
It works. My mom actually had a breathing disease, a lung disease, and I would boil it as a police officer, but I would boil it and give it to her to drink, and it kind of like eased it.
Right.
But now people are leaving treatment saying, I am going to go get my medical marijuana card, which is easy to get. And the deal with this is, after some time, so let's say you're strung out on heroin or meth or some one of those pills, oxys. If you're strung out on that and you resort to where we call switching, they switch, right? And they go to, weed is not my drug of choice. Heroin is, so I'm gonna smoke weed. But the sad news with that is eventually the weed will wear out and would say, hey, what about me? What about me? Mr. Heroin is here, and eventually they 9 out of 10 times they go back into the heroin or whatever is that substance of choice.
Right.
Okay, so and thank you for explaining. So this substance use disorder, that would just be a dependency. So they're not just taking it to kind of sublimate some of their emotions. They're more taking it because they feel that it's going to almost take it away, or they don't want to have to deal with the reality of what the problem is.
So let me kind of like dig into that some. So whenever somebody comes to treatment or they're abusing drugs, they are masking something, and we call this unresolved issues.
Right.
Something they are masking: childhood trauma, resentments, anger, some type of loss. So they mask. So when that feeling comes about, they use substance as a coping skill, which is a negative coping skill. What we introduce them to when they come to treatment is, hey, you have been self-medicating XYZ this way. Here's another way to do it without any consequences. So at that same point, let's talk about something called denial. There are some people who in denial because they say they are functioning addict or whatever it is. But here's the basic litmus test for that. So let's go with the marijuana folks. Like, well, I smoke marijuana, it's legal and all that stuff. And if you come to treatment for marijuana, here's the question I have to ask you. If you are here, which means you have a problem, they might say no. So I say, okay, let's start this dialogue over. You're here because marijuana got you into a problem. Yes, and they would say yes, and I'm like, okay, so you have a marijuana problem. And they're like, oh my gosh, I'm like, so I do a little psychological thing on them, for them to see, hey, if I am here, which means it's causing a problem, so whatever it is you add to it, I have a so and so problem.
Right.
And that kind of like a lot of the generation, this upcoming, I forget, Gen Z,
yeah,
Gen call it, listen, it starts off as fun. Nobody signs up to become an addict or an alcoholic. Nobody says, I want to be the best addict or whatever it is. They don't sign up with that in mind. But however, the continuous use and they get addicted where they need it, that's when the problem starts. So, of course, we know marijuana is a gateway drug, right? It's a stepping stone, and now it has amped up a bit now where cocaine now is the gateway drug, So there's a lot of misinformation out there that and recently we've discovered that there's a link. Well, it was always discovered, but we are doing some extensive study. When I say we, I mean my company, Heartsflow Incorporated.
Yeah.
And for your viewers, they can go to www.heartsflow.org to see more on the services we offer. So we are working very closely with the homeless. You notice my hat, what it says, right? So we are working on this homeless initiative because we are seeing a correlation between homelessness, addiction, and mental health.
Right.
So as we go along this path, now we are working with the county, we are working with the federal government to do some things to start providing services, mental health and substance abuse for the homeless right now. And as a matter of fact, on October the 10th is National Homeless Day.
Okay.
So we at Heartsflow Incorporated, together with some city and officials and Recovery First, we are having a homeless festival on October the 10th. And what we are doing is we have a high school, Sunfire High School. We are using them as the location to create an awareness and education on the homeless. I was in a meeting today and I found out, and this is for the United States, but in Broward County, which started a month ago, school started back a month ago, There are 2,000. Let me see. I have the paper here. There are 2,048 children in school in Broward County experiencing homelessness.
Wow.
Of that, the number has doubled up. 369 of those are in high school.
Wow.
You know, and at the other breakdowns, I don't have the full numbers here. So we have a problem, and this is an American problem. This is not a Broward County problem. I mean, the numbers in California are staggering. Almost 300 and something thousand people in California. So we are doing this, working together, trying to get it out to the other states. I have a passion somehow for California, so I'm trying to see once we get along how we can open up a center in California to see how.
A lot of homeless people in California. They have a tent city, in fact.
Everywhere has a tent city, you know, and it's sad. And sometimes it's. Do you know the 10 cities? One person, homeless person, will have like 3 tents. They have a bedroom, they have a kitchen, and they have a dining room in those tents. Do you guys know that?
No, we didn't.
Yes. So you might see a whole line of tents, but sometimes one person has like 4 tents. One is the guest room, one is the kitchen, one is the bedroom.
They were accustomed to having something, so they're trying to almost make it their own. And this is
correct.
That's interesting. Now, I have one question about addiction. Now, when someone is has substance addiction, does that mean that they consistently use that substance? What will determine? Because some people say, "Oh, I don't drink every day. I'm not an alcoholic, or I don't smoke."
Again, so the question comes back to the same thing.
Right.
What do? You drink alcohol? Yes. Has alcohol ever caused you any problem? Any DUI? Yes. Wife, husband, partner, significant other threatened to leave you? Yes. You've been homeless? Yes. You lost a job? Yes. So you have a alcohol problem. Yes.
Right.
But you're in denial because you say you're functioning. Well, you're functioning, but you're still going to work late. Is that functioning? You're paying the bills late. Is that functioning? You know, all of these little parameters we look at to say, hey, listen, you could deny it how much you want. You have a problem, and we are here to help you.
Right. I have a question. So the system is making you pay $285 a year for the marijuana card. So you must renew every year. And Anthony is saying when you're going to LA, he will go with you and take you to Tent City.
Well, thank you, Anthony, and I know you'll get me a ticket out there, so you know I'm not worried about that. But thank you. Yes. So the Broward County, we went to California. We did a visit, and we actually saw the problem like live. You know, so I am holding off discussions right now because I'm getting some things done in Broward County. But as soon as I get that stabilized and on solid ground, I'll be reaching out to the people in California, the mayor of those different cities, to reach out, because our program, Heartsflow program, is based on providing the mental health and the substance abuse for those who are in shelters. So understand it. So we are taking people from the shelters who already have everything, and we are picking them up from these shelters, bringing them to our place, providing mental health, substance abuse, and case management for them to get them stabilized so that in 6 months they can be reintegrated into society. So right now we are working a lot with landlords. The funding has increased for landlords. So we're having an event on November the 9th celebrating the landlords and the people who have been major players in Broward County's fight. So our goal is, you know, we're looking for, you know, landlords. There are buildings where you can hold 100 people. Do the math, you know. So we are out there outreaching every day. Today I was in meetings all day today, you know, just trying to get it out there from meeting to meeting to meeting. And we are getting the momentum and the support, but the more support, we would really like to get the word out there. And as I say to your viewers, I open up the door, which is I'm doing something different now. To some, it might sound extravagant, but I know how it works. So normally I charge $150 per hour for a session. So I would base my budget on $150 per hour. So Phyllis signs up for 5 sessions. Phyllis is coming in Monday, but Phyllis only paid 150.
Right.
So Phyllis says she gets up Monday and say, I don't feel like going. Phyllis just messed up my bottom line because I was dependent on that 150.
Right.
What I'm doing now is I'm doing a package deal now. I'm no longer doing the 150 an hour. I'm doing a package for 3,500, 5,000. You decide. We can decide on that how many sessions you want. If it's 3-month sessions, 5-month session, and we go based on that. Now, here's the catch with this: if you pay 150, you're not vested, but you pay 3,500 or 5,000, you will not miss a session.
Very smart.
So that's why I had to take it to that level.
Okay, so the problem the problem is that people don't want to live in apartment because the drug dealers can't come to sell.
Well, remember, we're tackling this from all ends. So we are working closely with the police.
Right.
You know, we're working with law enforcement, all levels of law enforcement. So this is not just us just doing this. We are working together. We have we have a homeless task force. We have so many entities that's involved, right? So it's something like that. We have security. We're going to have 24-hour security.
Okay.
We're going to have 24-hour staffing. So it's not just we take it. Listen, this is a well-studied, and Dr. Rebecca McGuire, she has done some extensive work. And Commissioner Hazel Rogers, Vice Mayor Nanrich, all of them, they are involved, and they are putting their best foot. They're gathering the experts, the best of the best.
Right.
And again, we open to anyone who can come up with a plan.
Okay.
But it must be a plan. You know, at the end of the day, dollars is what's important.
Right.
You
so
know,
in your article here, you say everyone experiences grief differently. Some isolate, they feel sad, angry, guilty, lonely, and helpless. I know that there's a lot of people that feel like this, especially the loss of a loved one. It's so hard for some people to cope. What advice you can give them out there that could help them?
Well, let me. I'll answer that to the back end. I have a recent client. He he found his mom dead in the house.
Yes.
He walked in and she was dead. And for the last 5 years, he just started doing drugs. And he never sought any help. So he was sad, you know, very sad, especially around her death, her birthday, her dying day. And I started working with him recently, and in 3 group sessions, 3 just group, not individual.
Right.
He was able to start the healing process. So her anniversary was August the 31st, in our Independence Day. That was the death of her. That was the day of her death. And for the first time in years, he was able to be okay because he was able to talk about it and share it. Her birthday was recently. He had a great day again. And so he's working on the healing process. So the question is, to answer your question, we have to work on coping skills based on where the client is at. So I meet the client where they're at. So,
but let me ask you something, Andy. What about if the person cannot afford to have a professional help? What advice you could give?
Well, there are other there based on the area that you live in, you know, I'm sure that there are services, community services that would be able to, I guess, take these type of clients who don't have any funding, and we are fully aware of it. You know, there's always some agency who would be able to, I guess, offset the cost. You know, and grief counselors, you know, some people, they never went to school for it, they never did it, some therapists, and they venture into it, and sometimes they mess up the clients, they make them worse than before. So it's our pool of thanatologists is very small, minute. But what happens, like in my case with Recovery First, if any therapist has a client who's struggling with grief issues, I would give them suggestions, or sometimes I will sit in on the session and process.
Right. So I have a suggestion for you. I think you should open a YouTube page
Mhm.
where you can talk so people could kind of connect with you that cannot afford it, because I know there are people out here, especially let's say for instance Trinidad and Tobago, maybe Guyana, Jamaica,
Mm.
all around the world, who may not have the access what we have here. And if you have a channel now that you could just go on and you know you speak briefly on topics that affect people, I think that will be very good for you, Andy.
And
So apparently you were reading my mind. So right now the Andy from Miami show is going to address all of those issues. I'm waiting. I wanted to start
because you have a lot of knowledge, and why waste it? You know, it could be shared to other people in the world.
So I am setting up. I'll let you know the date. I'm supposed to start it in September. We have 2 more weeks.
Yes.
I was just looking at the layout and everything else. I have everything set for the Andy from Miami show.
I love it.
That's what it's called. It's and it's going to be touching on all these topics. So I'm going to do.
Because look, someone just say yes. Some people can't afford it.
Agreed. So this YouTube that channel that I'm putting out, well, I'm doing YouTube, Facebook, and all those other stuff.
Right.
That I'm going to be talking extensively on those topics. As a matter of fact, how I propose to do it. I'm going to bring in some of the professionals. Right. I'm going to be going out on the streets and taking video, interviewing homeless people, talking to people who are actually dealing with grief and loss. So I am kind of like in that arena right now. September is coming close, but I have so many things coming up right now. This month is Broward County Recovery Month. Right. Recovery is for people who struggling, who in addiction treatment, and some of them have some clean time. So we're having this big event. It's been going on for like 17 years. So I'll be out there this Saturday doing with Recovery First, just giving out literature. Yeah. Now, the last Saturday of every month, we provide, you were there, Phyllis, we provide, and we have extended. I don't know if I sent you the new pictures. We have tents. We have no more clothes and bags. We have bins. We got, we have a guy named Manny. He's our homeless ambassador. He's brought people in. And so we have tents now. We have a line. There are no more bags. There's bins.
Right.
Yeah. And it's really streamlined now and continues to grow. We're trying to get some showers out there. You know, we have barbers and all of that stuff going on. So next month, they will be having it twice. They will be having it on October the 10th, which is National Homeless Day. Yes. And then later that afternoon, we're going to do the same thing down there. So we're going to create awareness and education. And then in the evening, we do the Feed the Homeless. So we'll have 2 in October.
That's great.
All right. So I just want to touch a little bit now on men in particularly. The vets, the police officers, you know, people who experience tragedy or loss and trauma, they don't really express themselves. Right.
Correct. So with the vets, I work a lot with the vets. As a matter of fact, I came from a meeting with the vets this afternoon. And the challenge with the vets is when they go to the VA, this is what I've heard. When they go to the VA touches solely on trauma, combat trauma. They don't go into the depths and they're like, okay, let's talk about the other areas of your life. That's what I've heard, right? So what we do at Recovery First and what I do in my practice is I explore, let's go deeper. Okay, you had some trauma. Okay, what about your relationships? How are your relationships going? How is your finance going? You know, what else are you dealing with beside that trauma? Because I have a client who tells me his buddy, he was supposed to go out they were in live combat. He was supposed to go in front. His buddy said, no, I'll go in front. And as he walked out, he got a bullet straight through his head and died in his arms. You know, so that's the trauma part of it. And then, you know, we grew up in Western culture, you know, where men are not supposed to cry.
Right.
A bunch of myths, and especially in the African American neighborhood.
Yes.
And that's not true. You know, men cry. Crying is healing. I did an extensive study on tears. Tears are very therapeutic.
Right.
You know, so we have to start educating, and this is not just the US, all across the globe,
Right.
especially in the islands. Do
Yes.
some education, right, and some awareness. Now, I have been trying for years. I've been out here since 1984.
Mm-hmm.
Oh wow.
I've been trying for years, begging the Trinidad and Tobago government,
Mhm.
please, please use me. And all I'm getting is, so this is what happened. I gave them a plan for youth in disaster because I have a disaster management business also.
Right.
I gave them a plan, and they said, that's the what you call them, the people who deal with disaster. I don't remember the name of that organization,
The
but
Red,
anyways,
Red Cross.
no, in Trinidad,
No,
Oh, in
Trinidad,
Trinidad.
yeah.
Okay.
I think they call OPDM.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
I
Mhm.
went to them and I said, here's a plan for kids to get kids and children. Youth in disaster was the name of the plan. I
Right.
sent it to them. They said, no, we can't we're not using this. But 2 months later, I saw my document remodified, and then they
Mm.
did the program. So
Wow.
now I don't trust. I have a trust issue now with sending any documents. I am constantly reaching out to the powers that be, some of them who are government ministers who I know personally. I'm
Right.
trying to reach out, but I guess politics rules the day. While in the meantime, people are struggling. And I don't say I can solve the problem, but
Right.
I'm saying bring me to the table. Let me help you because
And
this is my
these
expertise.
things, as Carrie saying here, the island need things like that.
They do. Absolutely.
Of course, but so it's sad to say politics run the day.
Right.
Because funding and everything else, whose agenda. So, for example, on my team, Nan Rich and Commissioner Hazel Rogers, they are all about the homeless.
Wow.
That's their passion.
Right.
So now we have to find people in Trinidad who are decision makers,
Correct.
Who
who
are
have the passion
Affect
for.
change.
Because
yeah,
listen,
when it affect their family, then it might
here's
have
what's going to happen. You don't deal with it now. Somewhere down the road, the homeless will come into your place.
Of
yes,
course.
yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Yes.
again, who's Andy? So this is what I think happens. Like I've been writing in the newspaper for years, and this is not the first time I've been published. By the way,
Yeah,
I've
but
been,
I know, but it was a very good article and
Yes.
it's good recognition for you too. That's why I
Mhm.
say
right.
kudos for you. And it was a very strong and
Very
powerful
strong.
So
article.
so I've been published in VA magazines. All right. And plus, I was in school. I have a big background in writing. I
Right.
was the editor in chief of my college newspaper. I had my own TV show on
Right.
campus, and I did my internship at CNN Miami. In fact, I was offered a job, but I didn't want to leave Florida many
Wow.
years ago.
Right.
But here's the mindset in the islands. Who he think he is? He
Right.
went up to the States and get some education. All of a sudden, now he
He
think he
came
could
back.
do
He's
this.
Yeah.
better than
So,
us.
so
Right.
it's like Trinidad and the islands have a better than philosophy,
Correct.
Yeah.
right? So I've done a lot of stuff. I've done carnival, I've done disaster management. So I have a well-rounded background, and on top of that, I was a police officer fighting crime.
Right.
Part of this problem with the crime, the homeless is a part of it, but nobody's talking about that. Do
Right.
you know how I solve most of my cases? I have a 100% success rate. The homeless.
Right.
You see?
Because when somebody is doing a crime, they don't pay attention to the homeless.
Correct.
No.
But then the homeless will tell me when I sit down with them and we smoking a little joint and we talking, they would say, yeah, do you know there was a robbery last night by Kentucky, pick up so and so and so. So nobody's thinking along those lines, but
Along
that's
those
what made
Right.
me successful. So I am still open to any government. Barbadian by my mom is from Barbados,
Right.
right? I'm open to any government who is willing to say, let's give. Listen, just hear me out. I'm not saying sign no contract. Bring me down. Let me talk,
Right.
right? And let me say, okay, based on me from Trinidad, I have a better understanding of the culture and how we can move forward.
Okay.
So Diane is saying yes, it's a favor thing in Trinidad. Daryl is saying Trinidad needs a program like that. There's a lot of people that needs help, but they are still in denial. I love this topic, and I think it should have a part 2 in the future.
All right.
So here's this though. Your viewers need to start writing either to the editor or well, I don't know how they do it in Trinidad. Here, my senator, I could email my senator, I could email my commissioner, I could email my congressperson, right? And say, hey, and keep flooding them with letters saying, hey, we need to talk about this, da. I don't know how they're going to respond in Trinidad, but that's what we do here. So all of a sudden I will get a call from the senator saying, hey, Andy, I heard XYZ, let's have a discussion. Okay, fine. All right. I don't know how they do it in Trinidad, but you guys in Trinidad, or even if you're from Trinidad and you're in the States, you need to flood them with emails, flood them with phone calls, say, hey, like I've been trying to write for the newspapers in Trinidad. They're just turning their back. They're playing games when I call. She's not here. He's not here. Did you receive my letter? I am not sure. And I have people in the background who is sending them my information. And I know they are receiving it. But guess what? Who is Andy? So, so that's the challenge that we have.
Okay. So you say here in your article, sharing your feelings and hearing other stories help you realize you are not alone. There's
Correct.
nothing wrong with you, and that you can learn to accept the loss. Group therapy is extremely powerful, but individual counseling is also a great option.
So
and
correct.
I think people have this facade about
Black
counseling. Black
therapy.
people don't go counseling and different things like that.
Well, strange enough, let me jump on that. I was one of those. I was one of those when I knew nothing about counseling, right? But so I was like, I ain't telling nobody my problem. I grew up with it stays in the house. That's what my Bajan grandmother would say.
Yeah.
But then I got into the field and I saw, wow, I see how many people that I have. I'm talking about me personally. I've been doing this for 23 years. I've seen people heal. So group counseling is good because in group counseling, everybody shares. You make yourself what you call vulnerable.
Right.
Vulnerability is a big thing in treatment. And people start sharing. And then somebody say, that's me.
Right.
I could relate. Oh, I thought I was alone.
Right.
Healing starts. And then they get the individual therapy now where they're dealing specifically with whatever is the issue.
That they get.
One-on-one.
So Carrie is saying that's the problem in Trinidad. You don't know who to talk to when you're having a problem. And we have seen this time and time, not only in Trinidad, but other places too.
Right.
And I mean, we really have to get the word out there and let people know, hey, it's okay.
Yeah.
So here's the deal then. So I'm liking these comments, but what are we going to do after this show? People going to turn it off and forget it. I am saying, yes, there needs to be dialogue. There needs to be education, right? Education on the stigma. There needs to be an awareness and education. And that's how the Trinidad and Tobago government needs to start. So October the 10th is National Awareness Day. I don't know in Trinidad what it is. Create a day for that and start the education, yes, and the awareness. So like, for example, next year, the homeless fest, we're going to be bringing in all the schools in Broward County. We will have a parade with grand marshals and all of that stuff, right? And that will create an awareness.
Yes.
Anthony is saying, call Donna Cox. She is the Minister of Social Development and Community Affairs.
Call and
listen, we have a proposition for you. Our platform, a lot of people look at it.
Right.
Maybe if you have time, maybe once a month or once every quarter, you want to come on
the awareness.
And you do the awareness, so that way the word can get out. And my friend Wendy here is very instrumental too. In the defense of Trinidad, there are so many options. Christ Center, special victim units, and several NGOs who advertise these services. So there are services, she's saying, in Trinidad that provide services, but for some reason, I guess it's not getting out to the public.
So correct. And then at what level? That's the question. At what level? No, I'm not saying I'm the best.
Right.
Well, I believe I'm the best in my field, but
But we gotta think about what venue or level.
We
that
gotta, yeah,
you know,
we have to get it so
Got it.
people.
like so we could, so let's say Trinidad decide to do a grief forum.
Right.
You bring me down, and we do a panel to create the awareness.
Right.
All right.
That's great.
So Tony, if you reach out to Donna Cox and she can respond, hey, more power to you. But I already know how that goes. I've played that game since 1984. I've been playing that game because this is where I grew up. Phyllis and Philia. This is where I grew up.
Mm-hmm.
When I left Trinidad and Tobago, I had one thing in mind. One thing. I love Dr. Eric Williams, and he spoke about brain drain. And I said, I will not be a person in the brain drain philosophy. So I am going to go to the United States, get everything I need, and give back to my country.
Amen.
And guess what? The current politics, I'm not calling those particular government,
Right.
they are encouraging brain drain because some people are saying, I am tired.
Right.
I'm tired of reaching out. Nobody's hearing me, but they're bringing down people. Let me give you an example. I went to Bahamas. That's why I was doing disaster management. And because I know the landscape, I like, okay, if they hear Andy from Trinidad with an accent, they will not listen to Andy. So you know what I did? I brought my white American friend, and he did the presentation. He knew nothing. He wasn't the expert on it, but he spoke to them. Do you know they signed the contracts?
It was easy face for them to stick trust,
Right.
And that's so sad.
And I in the background, I'm the guy, but I'm there. He's talking and they're shaking their head. Yes. So it's the same thing with Trinidad.
Right.
Well,
They
when
would bring people
came
from
here,
all over. Go
the
ahead.
Office of the Prime Minister, Gender and Child Affairs Division did an entire series on this. I moderated the panel discussion with thousands online. So there seems to have things out there, but I guess
They're
some
not
people
really
don't know
accessing.
the resources, or
Correct.
they don't know how to access the resources, because I know Wendy is very active in things like this and very resourceful too.
Yeah.
So, that could probably help. And I also have another therapist online, Evelyn. She's saying education is very important.
Yes.
However, the greatest problem seeking help is trust that has been violated. So people afraid to discuss, disclose, and talk.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's where the re-education comes in.
Yes.
For like me, I am gifted. I'm not bragging. God has given me this gift.
Yeah.
People just open up to me naturally. I had a client from Trinidad living here. She was, well, according to the family, her husband had died and she was grieving. After my second session, I realized this lady was not grieving. This lady was struggling with anxiety. So after a couple of sessions, she's fine. You should see her today. Fine. And the person who introduced me to that client said, because of who you are and how people respond to you, I know you was the best person to help her.
She's the
And I'm not trying to toot my horn, but I get people to engage. I think it has a lot to do with my diverse background, being a police officer, social work, this.
I think too, your background in being a godly person too, because sometimes people who I think doesn't have that connection spiritually,
a light about
there
you
is a light about you, and it drives people to follow. So I think that is good. So the last set here, you talk about self-care is so extremely important.
Yeah.
Take a shower, get some sleep, eat a balanced diet, a regular meal, move your body, exercise, release the endorphins, and naturally elevates your mood and so on. So I know self-care, we talk about self-care every time we have our discussion here.
All the time.
And I think a lot of people too don't know about self-care.
Yeah.
And Wendy's saying, I agree with the trust element, but it's not just about the facilitator.
Right.
It's the victims who reach out to help, only to find that they choose a friend or relative of the perpetrator.
Okay. Well, of course, yes. And she's correct. She's correct. She's correct. But we have to just. I think that it starts off with the education part.
Right.
You get the education done, you create the awareness, and all of a sudden you have people buying into the saying, "Hey, it's just not me." Yeah, I thought I was the only person. I work with a nutritionist, and she's excellent. So if I'm doing any form of counseling, she's part of one of my sessions where she would come in and do an assessment. As a matter of fact, that person I spoke about, who I worked with, I brought her in, change up her diet, and the doctor was giving her some pills that just didn't make no sense when we did the assessment. And now again, she's great right now. She's doing well.
She doesn't use them. That's awesome.
Yeah, that's good. I think trust is very important, especially when you're dealing with that whole environment.
Correct, right?
Well, any trust will always be something, whether it's mental health, it's homeless, it's addiction, because some people have been burned again, so they be very cautious.
Yeah.
Again, that's why I like to incorporate group therapy first and get them into groups, or form groups. One of the things Trinidad could start doing is having having groups. So with grief groups across the country, we do that here in the US. Grief groups for different ages, for different and you mix it up, and there you have that opportunity to realize that you are not alone in grief groups.
Right.
And then you say, okay, well, this is a good start. And then you say, hey, well, I need more, and that's where the discussion takes off. But as I say, I'm starting this channel, this YouTube channel, the Andy from Miami show. But I personally, I would really love to give this information, this experience that I have back to Trinidad and the islands.
Yes. Well, I mean, you're putting it out there in the existence, so we hope that the person who's watching, you never know who's watching,
resonates with them, and they could spread the word.
And at least Javier as our invited guest to some kind of seminar, or Wendy, if you could make it happen where you could get Andy on one of your shows and stuff, that would be good. There are a lot of group therapy sessions in Trinidad on this topic. Example, Mrs. Manning started this office. Mr. Manning, after Mr. Manning death, I'm also a medical health counselor. I always apply my APA ethical code and let them know their rights.
Okay. So I would like to get in touch with Wendy. If you can share me she seems like she brings a lot. She brings a lot to the table.
She has a lot
to offer.
Absolutely.
And that's a great connection as well.
Yeah. And Wendy, I'm so happy tonight.
Thank you, Wendy,
that you are on and you watching us. And I will, if it's okay with you, I can send Andy your information and y'all could link up from there. But Wendy is a very go-to person. She's very active and she's very resourceful. And Wendy has a program too. She has a program she does, and she could go into all what she does. But she's very well educated too.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's such an informative topic. Thank you so much. We hope that you've spoken to the masses, and we will always remember to spread the word. Look out for Andy from Miami. We love the name.
Wendy's from South. She is my schoolmate. Yes, she is.
Yes.
Where in South she's from?
I think Duncan Village. Wendy is Duncan Village. She could clarify. Yeah, but Wendy's a South girl.
Okay.
Wendy Lewis. Yeah.
Okay.
And that's the only way they would open up to you. Yes.
Absolutely.
At Phyllis messaged me after your live. Okay, she said to message her.
And we'll get the information.
After the live, and I'll get all the information. That's where I grew up.
What's her name? Wendy what?
Wendy H. Lewis. Yeah.
Lewis or Louis?
Lewis.
Okay.
I'll message her after and I'll send you everything via WhatsApp.
Yeah.
So when you guys are ready for the part 2, let me know. Give me some advance. Right now, I'm doing multiple things.
But we
So
would like to do a part 2 because next month you say is the homeless
yeah,
homeless,
National
right?
Homeless Day.
Yes. So we would like to do a part 2 around that time. What do you think?
So so National Homeless Day would be the Tuesday after Carnival.
Mm-hmm.
So we could, if I don't
We
know if
could
you
do
want,
the following Monday. The
I could do
following
the
Monday would be fine.
I could do the following Monday.
Okay.
Okay, so we'll
So
do a
good.
part 2 and follow up. And I mean, anybody who have any question,
Yeah.
again,
But-
just shoot us and let us know.
But what I would like to your viewers to do is to flood their officials, their elected officials, all these corporations, flood them and say, hey, let's do something.
Right.
Wendy's already doing some work on the ground, which is good. We're doing these boots on the ground, so we can collaborate and take it to how we just say it. I have a director. He would say, get the needle moving.
Yes.
We can get the needle moving in another direction.
Mm-hmm.
See that there's already some groundwork.
Right.
Let's get the people involved who can. And from my experience, I work with decision makers. I'm not going to go to the man. Why would I talk to you for an hour, Phyllis, and you cannot make a decision that's going to be strong? You just wasted my time.
Correct.
But if you can if when I talk to you, could say, hey, and it's done.
Yeah.
No, so that's where I'm at right now, based on my years of experience. I like to work with decision makers.
Right.
Yes.
This is great. I mean, definitely there could be a discussion because last year we donated items to shelters.
Yeah,
so we
do our little things here.
So this might be something that we can do even on a grander scale, just to I guess complement everything that's going on at the time, and we can have some type of collaboration. So we can definitely discuss that.
Well, of course, I'm about to get, I think, a crate of supplies from, I think it's one of my team is working on it, from one of these big companies. So they're giving us like crates with supplies for the homeless.
Right.
And so it's growing, and again, we want to perfect the model in Broward County and then take it out to like New York, California, and all these places, and the islands.
Right.
And the islands.
Yeah, because our project we were going to do is it was supposed to be breast cancer, a fashion show, but it was too much of a short notice. So we say we'll put it off for next year, God's willing. And whatever money that we have collected, we already had picked 3 countries, which was Trinidad and Tobago, Guyana, and Jamaica, and send the money down there because I have a friend in Trinidad who women can't even afford a mammogram. So we were just going to send the money there where, people who really need it, who could pass.
So I was the vice president of operations for Making Stride Against Breast Cancer for many years. I know ex-president Kamona, his wife is a big advocate for breast cancer. So you may want to reach out to her. She could be your ambassador for whatever you guys are trying to do.
No, I have a person. I have someone already who was a breast cancer survivor, is a breast cancer survivor, and she has a little group going. So she know people who can't afford stuff. So we would like the money to go to those kind of people, not people who already established, have the cancer society and this one. No, we want the money to go to people who cannot afford it. That is what our goal is.
Okay, so you have any doctors on board?
Yeah, I think. Well, you was going to be a friend.
Yeah,
Philly.
I have a friend that
because
that will try to come on a panel.
Yeah.
Because in Florida we had done some work, and we can get machines that's not outdated, but that can actually be shipped down to Trinidad to provide those mammogram services. So that's a
Okay.
whole animal by itself.
Yeah, it's true.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
All right.
But they have people down there who's suffering. Carlene is saying facts, and they working with people who are decision makers, serious decision makers. That is as well. And Andy, do you want a place to do the giveaway, or you going to do it downtown? Anthony's asking if you want a place to do it, or if you're doing it downtown. You can
Which
say,
giveaway?
I guess whatever you whatever you're doing. He wants to know if you have a place already. Whatever you say you was going to do when it is next month.
Yes.
Yeah.
For the homeless fiesta.
Yeah.
No, we already have a place, Sunfire.
Okay.
But what we're doing is 2 for 1. From 10 to 2 is the homeless fiesta. And then at 4 o'clock, just like what we do the last Saturday, we're going downtown because it's their day. So we're gonna go downtown and pamper them down there.
Okay, great.
Very good.
All right, that is good. All right. Okay, this is so awesome, giving back. Yes,
and giving back to the community. Andy, thank you.
Well, Andy, thanks again for coming on
Your
a Motivational Monday with your expertise. Thank you for everyone who is locked on tonight.
Yeah.
Thank you for your input. It's always good.
Always helpful.
Because that way our viewers could always,
Be well
answer the
informed.
question.
Yeah.
They are the expertise in what they do, And again, this program is about each one teach one. And we want to just get the word out there. If anybody out there needs any kind of assistance, reach out to us. Philia may know somebody. I may know somebody. If I don't know somebody, I may reach out to Anthony, or I may reach out to Andy. I will never say I don't know. I'll say I'll get back to you. So we'll always be there to help anybody that needs the help and expert.
Could I just add something?
Sure.
Yes, please.
So my calling, which is from God,
Yes.
came from Psalm 82.
Yes.
Verse 3. It says, "Stand up for the poor and the orphans, advocate for the rights of the afflicted and those in need. Deliver the poor and the needy, rescue them from their evil oppressors." That's my calling I got from God. So that's why my organization Hearts Flow is based on that. And I've been around for 23 years in the trenches fighting for the poor and the oppressed.
Beautiful. Amen. Thank you for using that scripture, because everything that works is God is in the center of it. So
every time.
That's awesome.
So Anthony is saying there are some people that can't get to downtown. So what are you going to do about those people?
Well, when they can't get to downtown, meaning what? Downtown to the event?
Yeah.
Well, there's not much I can do. What I know is next year we're going to build on it. But for right now, there's not much I can do with regards to they can't get to downtown. Maybe on that day I can talk to the county. We can get extra buses on the route or something like that. But I am not sure. But I'm glad that was brought to my attention.
Okay, great.
Thank you. Thank you for that.
So thank you again, Andy, and have a blessed week.
Yes.
We will get back to you about next month, God's willing. I know your schedule. We will work with your schedule.
Work with you.
And Wendy, we would like to have you on too, because Wendy has.
Let me know when Wendy's coming on.
Yeah, Wendy was on already, but she's such a busy woman.
Yeah.
I have to work with her. It takes her a year before she comes back. So I hope she don't take another year before she comes back. But everything is happening in God's timing.
Yes, amen.
All work collaboratively. We love the topics, and they're just so important, and we're so well informed. So thank you so much.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, downtown wear. Kerry saying downtown wear, and do he need help? Okay, yes, Andy will need help. Anthony, you can reach out to Andy. If you need help with the buses, probably Anthony could organize and help. Maybe they could pick up at some mall or something and bring them down
like
for
a central location or something like that. That's excellent.
Well, I can post on my on my social media.
And then send it to me, and I'll post it.
I need transportation. Anybody who has transportation to accommodate people who want to come down to the event. We are always looking for volunteers. And we are growing exponentially. You will be good at volunteering.
You're always helping. You have people out there could come down and give you a hand. What day is this?
No,
October
the 10th. It's a Tuesday.
Okay. All right. Okay.
All right. We'll be
All right, I
looking
might
out
be
for the
there. I
post.
will be over there, but I'll see if I'll be there the 10th.
Right.
Okay, I know you would be. I wouldn't say that. So tell TJ I still need my tickets, my honorary tickets.
For your
All right.
pan and everything. Don't worry, he got you. I'll see you, Andy. I'll see you soon.
No, you won't be seeing me down in that atmosphere. I've already graduated from that.
I know, right? Elizabeth, you're gonna have to watch it over because we're gonna close off now. It's gonna be on my Facebook page. We were talking about grief and different stuff, so you can go back and watch it. If you need anything, Elizabeth, just shoot me an inbox message. Plus, it will be on YouTube. My YouTube channel is Phyllis Worrell. And do you have any? Well, you have no YouTube channel, but you can give them where if they want your handles to contact you.
Well, www.heartsflow.org. That's to get to the organization. To email me info@heartsflow. That's HEARTSFLOW.org or Andy@heartsflow.org.
All right.
All right, good. And
Awesome.
And my number 954-274-7233 24/7.
Okay, great.
All right.
I'll put the number there for them so they can contact you. Phila, you can give your handles by the meantime.
Okay, in the meantime, my handles is also with Treading Faith, and that's treadingfaith.captivate.fm. That is my
One more time, Treading Faith.
Yes, .captivate.fm. And that is my podcast.
Okay.
And then treadingfaith@gmail.com is the way that you can contact us.
Mail.com. Treading Faith.
Yes.
Okay, and I put Andy's number in the box. Anybody want to contact him, can send him a WhatsApp message, his text, anything, and you guys could get in contact with him, right?
Yes, let's start flooding the elected officials across the globe. For whoever is listening, flood them, tell them what you need. So this is something I'm passionate about. I just lost this just happened, and I need help. And let's see what happens.
Okay, Andy. So thanks again.
Andy, thank you.
Thank you.
Be well. We'll speak with you soon. Thank you.
All right.
Bye-bye. Okay. All right. Thank you.
Okay, guys. Yeah. So there you had it. You had Andy on. And I just want to say again, you can watch this episode, Phyllis Worrell, on YouTube. And you can check me out every Saturday on the People's Chat Room with Lima and her crew. My time slot is 12:40 to 12:45. I have a 15-minute slot. And they have an event coming up too, September the 30th in the Orlando area. If you guys want, she has tickets on sale. And support the cause. All right. Okay, so have a blessed, wonderful, and safe week, guys. Love in the house always. Remember, just do a kind deed and love in the house.
Love in the house.
Good night.
See you. Love you guys. Bye.